now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book The Man Crisis comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today. A pair of teenagers allegedly murdered their Spanish teacher over a bad grade. Now, in this incident, which took place in Fairfield, Iowa, Willard Miller and Jeremy Goodale are accused of beating their Spanish teacher, Nohema Graber, to death with a baseball bat for allegedly looking to fail them for a poor performance in her Spanish class. Now, according to reports, your Nohema Graber was going to meet with the boys to discuss this grade after school on November 2nd, and they were soon seen driving her van around a park where she used to go for walks. And it's alleged that her body was found the next day hidden under a tarp, a wheelbarrow, and railroad ties, and she had been beaten to death with a baseball bat. Now, both of these boys were 16 years old at the time of this murder, and while the police see this as an isolated incident, when I take a critical examination of the alleged murder of the Spanish teacher in this case, Nohema Graber, it fits right in line with the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And it's clear to me that these two boys wanted to go out here and live in a place in the rose-colored reality I call the smooth world. Now, your Willard Miller and Jeremy Goodale, they said that they didn't want to see their GPAs go down as a result of this failing grade, and this could have been the thing that triggered these males to go out here and allegedly look to participate in the murder of their Spanish teacher. Now, when it comes down to most beta males, they want to live in a place called the smooth world in the rose-colored reality. Now, in this rose-colored reality, it looks like our world, but everything is completely distorted. And inside of that rose-colored reality, these individuals want to live in a world where they don't want to deal with any sort of problems, conflicts, or obstacles. And whenever they have to encounter problems, conflicts, or obstacles, these men don't have the discipline or resolve to go out here and work to solve their problems by putting in more work to improve themselves. No, what these men, what they want to do to have their smooth world is they go to extremes looking to do harm to others in order to get their world back to the smooth place that they wanted it to be. And because these males, again, don't have the discipline, resolve, or the ability to think critically, they acted on their feelings about themselves winding up with this failing grade, and they went out here and exploded in a rage looking to take the life of this teacher, all because she gave them a failing grade. Now, when I was a kid, I was struggling in classes like algebra, and I never once thought to go out here and look to do harm to a teacher. No, what I wanted to do was buckle down and try to persevere. But these teenagers, again, because of the dysfunctional way they have been raised, they didn't understand the concept of perseverance and determination in order to go out here and solve the problem as related to why they were struggling in this Spanish class. No, as they were frustrated and out here as related to their grades, these males were out here seething in anger. And once they were possibly told by this teacher that they were going to fail, this is where they wound up exploding in this rage. And as they exploded in this rage, they wound up allegedly, possibly murdering their Spanish teacher. And then after murdering their Spanish teacher, they then possibly took her body, put it in the van, drove it to the location where they put it, and then they covered it with a wheelbarrow, railroad ties, and a tarp, looking to keep their smooth world. Unfortunately, as they were looking to keep their smooth world, they could not see the real world, and they could not see a real world filled with witnesses who possibly saw the routine of this woman being disrupted, started seeing them being the ones who were driving her van, and starting to connect the dots as related to her disappearance. Because police soon found her body a day right after she wound up under that tarp. And again, as they started connecting dots to her disappearance, it all started to point to these two males who went from boys who were struggling with a Spanish class to growing up to eventually winding up becoming men in crisis. Because as these boys got arrested, they now are going to stand trial as adults. And as they stand trial as adults, what's going to happen to them is that if they do get convicted, they're definitely going to get life in prison. And if they get life in prison, they're going to go from having to deal with failing in a Spanish class to having to deal with Bubba, Tiny, and Roscoe. And it's in a place where they're dealing with Bubba, Tiny, and Roscoe, they're going to have to be trying to deal with having to fend them off as they basically will have them washing drawers or going out here and being traded for commissary like Little Debbie snack cakes, ramen noodles, cups of coffee, packets of Crystal Light, Kit Kat candy bars, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pies, 6-pack Oreo cookies. This is what's going to happen to these teenagers who basically went from being teenagers who were living a carefree life on the road to graduation to now graduating to being in the penitentiary, possibly if they get convicted for the rest of their life. And again, this is the type of emotional decision that can derail a boy's life because he is not taught the proper male life skills, not taught the proper male survival skills, not taught critical thinking skills, and not taught how to problem solve and conflict resolve. Because when you have a failing grade, you go out here and you just try to go out here and buckle down, because something like failing a Spanish class is never a motive to murder someone or do harm to them. No, as a boy, you have to learn how to go out here and persevere in the face of adversity. Unfortunately, many beta males do not know how to persevere in the face of adversity, and instead of them persevering, what they do is go to extremes, looking to go out here and take the life of a teacher instead of learning the lessons in discipline and resolve as related to going out here and working towards passing this class. I mean, I've been in that situation myself, again, as related to algebra classes, as related to my entire, trying to graduate from high school, and I had to learn how to persevere if I wanted that diploma. But it seems like these boys never got the male life skills and male survival skills in order to learn how to go out here and buckle down and start looking to go out here and push towards learning. No, instead of these boys trying to go out here and persevere, what happened was they got angry, they got frustrated, and then because they did not know how to think critically and problem solve, what they did was create a solution which exacerbated their problem, because killing the teacher doesn't help you learn Spanish or pass a Spanish class. All it does is teach you a hard lesson in the school of hard knocks. And as you're learning this lesson in the school of hard knocks, all you're learning is that once you take a person's life, your life completely changes, and you're going to possibly wind up in prison for the rest of your life. It would have just been better to either buckle down and study harder or go out here and just fail the class, because It's better to fail a class and have the intangible of your manhood, like your dignity, your self-respect, and your freedom, than go out here and hurt someone or take somebody's life and lose your freedom and lose your opportunity to move your life forward. Because these guys are basically stuck in a place where they're going to possibly wind up in prison for the rest of their life, because if they're tried as adults for murder, 1 or 2nd degree murder, they're going to jail for the rest of their lives. And again, this is what happens to beta males, because beta males, they want to have a smooth world, and in their attempts to keep their world smooth, they wind up having a rough life, and that rough life is a result of them not understanding how to go out here and function in the world, because they don't have the proper male life skills, they don't have the proper male survival skills, and sadly, these boys, I don't think, will be able to survive in the penitentiary, because these boys, clearly, these boys don't know how to understand how the world works, and because they don't know how the world works, this is why these boys are growing up to become men whose lives are gonna be in crisis. Now, if you want to learn why many of these males participate in the dysfunctional behavior they participate in, like the ones I talked about in this incident, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis on Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, and other online booksellers. And if you want to see me talk about more men's issues and men's issues topics, you can help me be able to stay on the air by donating to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today.